Hello, my wonderful neighbors. Welcome back to the porch, where we don't just spill the tea, we read the tea leaves. And let me tell you, the storm that is brewing on the horizon is darker, nastier, and more vindicating than anything we have seen before. So grab your biggest mug and maybe something stronger, because we are about to dive into the abyss of the missing 12 hours and the name that simply will not stay buried. We have to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who holds the keys to the darkest closets in high society, and the terrifying realization that our very own Duchess of Deception, the evil mastermind herself, Meghan Markle, might just be one of the skeletons rattling the loudest behind those locked doors. You know, for years we have been told that Meghan was just a wide-eyed, innocent American actress who stumbled into a romance with a prince, that she knew nothing about the royal family, nothing about the players, and nothing about the dark underbelly of the elite world. But the new revelations coming out of the Maxwell files, specifically the parts that they tried to scrub from existence, tell a completely different, chilling story. A story of a woman who didn't just stumble into the room, but was placed there. A woman who allegedly navigated the yachting circles under a code name so innocent it makes your skin crawl: Flower. Now, I know you guys are excited for more. But before we delve into further discussion, if you haven't subscribed, come on guys, what are you waiting for? Hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell ASAP. So now, we need to talk about these redactions because they are the smoking gun. 12 hours, 12 entire hours of testimony were blacked out, erased, swallowed by the void of privacy. But whose privacy? Maxwell is in prison. Her privacy is gone. The victims deserve the truth. So who are they protecting? The answer, my friends, seems to be the powerful men who don't want you to know who was entertaining them on those yachts and in those penthouses. And flickering through the black bars like a ghost in the machine is the name Meghan, or rather, the entity known in those circles as Flower. This isn't just gossip. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that explains everything. It explains why the royal family is terrified. It explains why William, our stoic, protective, brilliant William, drew a hard line in the sand that can never be crossed. It explains why reconciliation is a dirty word in the palace. Because you don't reconcile with a security threat. You don't invite a liability back into the inner sanctum. And if Meghan Markle was indeed a fixture in the Epstein-Maxwell orbit, even on the periphery, even as a guest, she carries a radioactive history that the monarchy simply cannot survive. Let's dissect this CV that Maxwell alluded to. We aren't talking about an acting resume with credits for Suits or Deal or No Deal. We are talking about a social curriculum vitae, a document allegedly circulated among the ultra-wealthy to vet young women for suitability in high-end environments. These weren't casting calls, neighbors. These were auditions for access. The implication is that Meghan was filtered, approved, and positioned in these rooms long before she met Harry. She wasn't there because she was a Hollywood star. She wasn't one yet. She was there because she had a specific set of skills: charm, adaptability, discretion, and the ability to work a room of powerful men. Maxwell didn't expose these secrets to be mean. She exposed them because they are the currency of her world. And the fact that someone panicked and redacted 12 hours of this context screams guilt. It screams that the narrative of the struggling actress is a lie. Meghan wasn't struggling. She was networking in the sewers of the elite, climbing a ladder that was greased with secrets. And this brings us to the most explosive realization: the timeline. We have always been fed this meet-cute story about Harry and Meghan in 2016, but the Maxwell connection suggests she was in the orbit of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, years before that. Think about it. If Meghan was frequenting these yachting events, these private dinners in Istanbul and New York, she would have crossed paths with Andrew. He was a fixture there. And suddenly, Fergie's behavior makes so much sense. Remember how Fergie seemed to body block Meghan? How there was always this weird, unspoken tension? We thought it was just snobbery. But what if it was recognition? What if Fergie looked at Harry's new girlfriend and thought, "I know you. I know exactly where you came from, and it wasn't a film set." The look of recognition in those circles is dangerous. It means the mask has slipped. It means the Duchess Act doesn't work on the people who saw you when you were just flour. It absolutely destroys the "I didn't know who he was" lie. If she was running in circles with Prince Andrew, if she was in the same rooms as the Clintons and the Maxwells, she knew exactly who the royals were. She knew the hierarchy. She knew the targets. The idea that she went into this blind is the greatest con she ever pulled on her brainwashed puppet Harry. Poor Harry. He thinks he rescued a damsel from the paparazzi. In reality, he likely married a woman who was handed off to him by a network of enablers who needed to place her in a position of ultimate influence. The theory about Soho House in Istanbul being a handoff rather than a chance meeting is chillingly plausible. Ron Burkle, the owner of Soho House, was connected to all these players. The Istanbul house opening in 2015 was a gathering of this exact crowd. And who was there? Meghan. Who else? The invisible hand of the network. Harry walked into a trap that had been set years in advance, baited with the one thing he couldn't resist: a woman who played the role of the perfect humanitarian soulmate, while hiding a resume that would make a sailor blush. And this is why Prince William is the hero of this tragedy. The mainstream media likes to paint William as stubborn, or cold, or unwilling to forgive. They say he needs to be the bigger man for the sake of the king. But William knows. I truly believe William knows everything. The palace intelligence is not stupid. When Meghan arrived, they vetted her, and when the flower file crossed William's desk, or when he heard the whispers from the security services about who she knew and where she had been, he shut the door, he locked it, and he threw away the key. He isn't being petty, he is protecting the crown from a woman who is essentially a walking piece of blackmail. If she was in those rooms, she saw things, she heard things, she knows who the real power brokers are, and having that kind of compromat inside the royal family is a ticking time bomb. William's refusal to have her back isn't about family drama, it's about national security. It's about keeping the swamp out of Kensington Palace. Can you imagine the conversations at Balmoral? The reason the brothers are so fractured isn't just because Harry wrote a mean book. It's because Harry brought a woman from that world into their mother's house. To William, who is so protective of Catherine and the dignity of the monarchy, this must feel like the ultimate betrayal. He is trying to keep the institution clean, dignified, and respectable. And Harry drags in the yacht girl past, oblivious to the dirt on her shoes. It explains why William was so adamant that Andrew be cast out, and by extension, why Meghan can never return. They are part of the same toxic ecosystem. William is trying to cut out the cancer, and Harry is trying to reinfect the host. It is a battle between duty and delusion. The missing 12 hours likely contain names that would shatter the establishment. Politicians, billionaires, maybe even other royals. And Meghan is the link. She is the thread that runs through it all. If those redactions were lifted, if the name Flower was officially linked to specific dates and specific yachts, the Sussex brand would incinerate instantly. There is no coming back from that. You can't sell jam when you are linked to Maxwell. You can't preach about women's empowerment when you were allegedly part of a system that commodified women for the pleasure of powerful men. It exposes the hypocrisy at a cellular level. It turns her entire victim narrative on its head. She wasn't a victim of the British press. She was a beneficiary of a silence bought by powerful men who didn't want their weekends exposed. And look at the timing. We have Catherine, our beautiful Princess of Wales, battling cancer with such grace, showing us what real strength looks like. And on the other side, we have Meghan, panicking because the ghosts of her past are starting to whisper. The contrast is blinding. Catherine is the future. Meghan is the dirty secret of the past. The panic mode we are hearing about from Montecito is real, because for the first time, Meghan can't PR her way out of this. You can't accuse a court transcript of racism. You can't accuse Ghislaine Maxwell of being a British tabloid. These are legal realities. These are sworn testimonies. And the more she tries to distract us with fake tours to Colombia or Nigeria, the more desperate she looks. She is running from the truth, but the truth is faster. The Flower codename is so specific, so sickly sweet, and yet so transactional. It implies she was there to be picked, to be decorative, to be enjoyed. It is dehumanizing. And for a woman who claims to be the ultimate feminist, to have a history where she was reduced to a code name on a list of party favors is the ultimate irony. It explains the insecurity. It explains the constant need to control the narrative. She is terrified that the world will see Flower instead of the Duchess. She is terrified that Harry will finally understand that he wasn't her Prince Charming, he was just the exit strategy. The getaway car from a life that was becoming too dangerous to sustain. I think we are seeing the endgame, neighbors. The final nail isn't just a metaphor anymore. The connections between Meghan, Marcus Anderson, her Soho House bestie, Ron Burkle, and the Epstein fringe are being drawn in permanent marker. The 12 hours might be redacted for now, but people talk. Loose lips sink ships, and they also sink yachts. And Meghan is on a sinking ship. She has isolated herself from her family, Harry's family, and now her old protectors are likely looking at her as a liability. When you know too much, you become dangerous. And when you become dangerous, the powerful people who used to help you start to distance themselves. That is why the invitations have dried up. That is why Hollywood is shunning them. No one wants to be near the blast zone when this truth finally detonates. So, to Prince William we say, hold the line. Do not give in. You are right to keep the gate locked. You are right to protect your wife and children from this toxicity. The public sees it now. We see the flower in the weeds. And to Harry, if you are watching this from your beige couch, maybe it's time to ask your wife exactly where she was in 2014, 2015, and who exactly introduced you in Istanbul. Because the fairy tale is dissolving, and what's left underneath is a horror story of manipulation and greed. Meghan can try to launch all the lifestyle brands she wants. She can sell all the rosé wine in California, but she cannot scrub the stain of the Maxwell connection. It is indelible. It is part of the record. And every time she tries to preach to us about morality, we are going to remember Flower. We are going to remember the blacked out documents. And we are going to remember that while Catherine was visiting hospices and raising future kings, Meghan was allegedly navigating a world of moral bankruptcy. The choice between them has never been clearer. One is a queen in waiting, the other is a ghost from a past that is finally catching up. I want to know what you guys think about this bombshell. Do you believe the Flower code name? Do you think William knows the full extent of her past, and that's why he is so icy? And do you think the missing 12 hours will ever be leaked? Let's get a discussion going in the comments because the mainstream media is terrified of this story. But we are not. We are the neighbors who see everything. Smash that like button, subscribe if you want to stay on the right side of history, and share this video to wake up the world. The truth is coming, and it has a code name. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your tea hot, and your circle small. Ta-ta, and bye for now.